Clubs and raves are known for pulsating music, flashing lights, and abused drugs. Jeff is a club regular. His nightly ritual starts with joining his friends at the bar, downing a couple of drinks. Then he adds a couple of pills, an OxyContin and a Xanax. Jeff uses drugs socially to have a good time. In the past couple of months, Jeff has been at the rave club almost every night, and his drug use was using more and more. Jeff does not see his drug use as excessive. He notes that, unlike others, he has never passed out. Passing out, that will never happen to me. Halfway through the night, Jeff is already beginning to stagger as he makes his way through the club. Jeff's friend Emily, another club regular, has decided that she must talk to Jeff about his excessive drug use. Emily just called him out for using too much. Jeff is feeling uptight and confused. Jeff does not see his drug use as excessive. Jeff admits, however, "I'm always surrounded by people taking all sorts of drugs, and I give in. It makes no sense." Upon re-entering the rave club, slurring his words and walking unsteadily, Jeff quickly settles into his familiar pattern of drinking and popping pills. Jeff overdosed on a combination of alcohol, OxyContin, and Xanax at the club. He was Narcan rescued by the EMTs and wheeled into recovery. The next morning, as Jeff is being discharged, he meets John, a peer counselor and recovery coach. "You overdosed at the rave club. You passed out and the EMTs Narcan rescued you. You were minutes from certain death. Obviously, you have a drug problem. I'm here to help you." John's mission is to counsel guys like Jeff. John's goal is to boost Jeff's awareness of how addiction happens to guys like Jeff. "For years, I was a mess, until I read this book." The story is about a raccoon who goes off the deep end. The raccoon suffers from the loss of self-control. Losing control of drug taking is the key. It's the beginning of the end that turns the casual drug user into a drug addict. This is how addiction happens. This is how I became a drug addict. Finally, after years of asking myself, how did this happen to me? A light goes off in my head. I can help you if you're ready to deal with it. Read this story. See if you can relate to the raccoon's journey and come to our group on Tuesday. Jeff scoffs as he rejects John's offer. Jeff thinks he's fine. He thinks last night maybe he screwed up, but it was the first time. It won't happen again. I'm good. I got this. Thanks anyway. After several days, Jeff goes back to his usual routine. He pops a Xanax pill and heads to the rave club for another night of partying. Upon entering the club, he meets up with a regular to score some more pills. He tells Jeff, "Listen, you're overdoing it with the drugs lately. A few days ago, 2 overdoses. Here, at this club. One of them they weren't able to save and she died. Right here on the spot. I think you know her. She's always coming here asking for you. What was her name?" "Oh yeah, Emily." Emily has only tried drugs once or twice out of curiosity. She wasn't a casual user like Jeff was. But all it takes is just one batch of bad pills. Overwhelmed and feeling he has hit rock bottom, Jeff is reminded of John and the raccoon story. Jeff makes up his mind and decides to visit the group therapy clinic. A dozen addicts in recovery are seated in a circle. During the therapy session, one by one they recount their slide into addiction, their struggle to reclaim their lives, to claw their way back to sobriety. While their drugs of choice differ from one to another, They share in common the experience of losing control of their drug taking. A member of the group, Andy, stands and begins to speak.
Like many of you, I started with alcohol, then abused cocaine and meth. In the beginning, for me, it was all about getting that high, and the more I used drugs to achieve that high, the more I had to keep taking, until I was so messed up I couldn't get any higher. But I kept adding another and another until I ended up in the hospital with a heart attack. I love this book. From this book, I learned that I'm a sign tracker. I've been a sign tracker my whole life. Nobody ever told me about sign tracking until I read this book, but that is me, exactly. Well, this book made me understand why I cannot hang out with my pals who are on the wrong path.
Many find that, try as they might, they are not able to control their drug use, even though they swore it will never happen to me. Jennifer is a nurse at the clinic. She notices that Jeff is carrying a copy of the Raccoon story. Jennifer says that book changed her life. Jennifer's mother was addicted to cocaine, and when Jennifer was a kid, her mother would disappear for months at a time, leaving Jennifer to be raised by her grandparents. Jennifer always wondered how her mother could just leave her like that. She was always apologetic and remorseful when she finally came home, swearing she would never do it again. But when faced with the opportunity for more parties and drugs, her promises were empty. The damage to the addict is only part of the story. Their families, and particularly their children, suffered greatly, often blaming themselves for the troubles of the addict. The Raccoon story explained addiction to Jennifer. A drug addict is trapped by automatic reflexive actions that they are not able to control. Finally, it all made sense. It's not a decision. It's a reflex. When drug taking becomes a reflex, that's the real cause of addiction. When you're out of control and cannot stop, your drug-soaked brain becomes your new normal, so you get drug sick if you don't use. Reading the Raccoon story is helping Jeff see his problem in a different light. He resolves to rearrange his life, to stay away from the rave club, to avoid his club pals, and to avoid the drug cues, to minimize temptation by eliminating all contact with people, places, and things that are likely to trigger relapse back into drug taking. Is your drug taking becoming reflexive? Are you out of control, doing too much, even though you really don't want another hit? Do you need to read the Raccoon story? For those losing control of their drug taking, this is the read for you.